off the plane, check in. Penthouse suite, check in. When your feet hit the street, check in. Cause if not, shit get hot, you better check it in.
Welcome to Checking In with Big U on World Star Hip Hop. We're going to check in with my guy, Amir. I don't know what you guys know him by, but this is Brother Amir to us. How you doing, Ak?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I mean, I'm just like, everything is surreal, man. Right. You know, I've been home 15 months and just being able to, you know, just jump right back into the groove of things. Like, it's surreal.
You glowing, Ak.
I'm happy. Right.
Take me back, bro. Take me back to let my audience know who Amir is, where Amir came from. Who was Loon?
Now, Loon, definitely a lot of history there. Mm-hmm. Might not even have enough time to get into it all. But sure. The reality of it is I acquired that name out here in LA. Because when I moved out here in 89, like, I was getting into a lot of stuff in New York. So I literally was the original Fresh Prince.
Right.
You know, my God.
You came out here in 1989.
89.
How old were you then?
About 13. I was 13 when I moved out here.
Oh, so did you go to school here?
Went to Beverly.
You went to Beverly High?
I was in class with Angelina Jolie. You know, I think Monica Lewinsky was a sophomore then. You know, my godfather was George Jackson. That, you know, produced Crush Groove, Disorderly, New Jack City, Thin Line Between Love and Hate, Eddie and Malcolm Show, you know, House Party 2. Like, you know, George birthed a lot of, you know, actors such as Wesley Snipes, Ice-T. You know, he brought a lot of these careers. You know,
you came like Ice-T. Yeah. Ice-T came around 13.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you came from what part of New York?
I came from Harlem.
You came from Harlem.
I came
13.
from Harlem. Yep, 13 years old.
Now, how was that?
I mean, I came to LA at the peak of being the young, wild Harlem kid.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff I was doing, I used to always keep getting warned. It's like, hey, you can't do that here. This ain't New York. Hey, this ain't New York. And I'm like, all right, with that, you know, I was confused. Right. Hey, somebody gonna smoke you. You can't just be putting your hands on people, homie. It don't work like that. And I'm like, cause I come from a fighting city.
Right.
You know, we guns is illegal in New York City, period. So, you know, back then, I mean, you know, you got one or two few guys that had a pistol.
Get out.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm getting all these gun threats for just doing what kids do in New York. So gradually, hey, you loony, homie. You can't do that out here. Then the girls say, somebody gonna smoke you in New York? And I'm like, yo, I'm getting tired of hearing like somebody gonna do something to me. You know what I'm saying? So coming out here, and it's like I started hanging, you know, with the homies in Mansfield.
Right.
So, you know, started off from like kicking it, you know what I'm saying, with my high school, you know, love at the time. She used to live right on Marvin, right off of Marvin in Venice. So it's like I'm over there hanging out, homies over there. You know, I just basically found a crowd that I should have been avoiding.
Right.
Because I had all this other good stuff going on for me, but I'm just this.
When you say you had other good stuff going, was you already on the music?
No, I wasn't even thinking about
music. Just outside
music.
of life, just not in the streets yet.
To tell you the truth, I didn't really care for music because George was a film guy. So I was kind of under his deodorant when it came down to like wanting to learn film. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be into like the film business. I didn't really care about music. That's why it was, you know, so ironic later for people that knew me to see me embrace music. So basically, you know, coming out here when I was young, you know, I already crashed the whip, ended up back in New York, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, for years I had a lot of regret because I'm like, man, I went out there to hang out with some dudes that's like, you know, on some nonsense. But, you know, I love the homies. But at the same time, it's like, yo, you was in Beverly Hills High School. You was living in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You was
So you went to go live with your uncle?
Yeah, my godfather, yeah.
So let me get this straight. When you say the Fresh Prince, original Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
You go from Brooklyn.
From Harlem.
I mean, you go from Harlem.
Yep.
To Beverly High.
Beverly Hills High.
And then you start running with the homies from Mansfield.
Yep.
And then, but did you wreck the car out here and go back?
Basically, I stayed in trouble. So when I say I wrecked the car, like I crashed the whole opportunity.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? To the point where I was too young to even really understand the kind of opportunity I had. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when George came to New York to shoot New Jack City, he was gone for 6 months. I was in LA literally by myself at 13 years old. George had the M6 back then, you know what I'm saying, the Corvette, the white cabriolet. I'm out here, you know what I'm saying, this is surreal, you know, no jurisdiction. I'm just out here going crazy, you know what I'm saying? And I done been all over LA at 13, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to places, people like, where you just come from? She was going over at Fox Hill Mall. I'm like, it was a mall. I don't know that these is places. I'm in Shirt King sometimes. I'm everywhere. Midtown spot me. I remember like the second day, I almost got jumped by some schoolyards. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I've had real life experiences in LA. But when I came back to New York, I love my city the way it is. So I never thought to bring that lifestyle to New York City.
Right.
But eventually it got there.
It got there. It's there.
But I love New York the way it was, and I love Cali the way it was. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, music for me started off with me writing a diary. You know what I'm saying? Which turned into poetry, and which evolved into me actually writing rhymes. But it was all therapeutic. It was for myself. I never aspired to be a rap artist. It's just that, you know how there's certain things in the street, you don't really confide in people because, you know, your dudes might look at it like it's a weakness.
Right.
Especially I'm the youngest around a lot of older dudes, so I'm already probably, you know what I'm saying, walking a thin line or just a move away from like, hey man, shorty, find something to do. So the last thing I want to do is express certain things that was eating at me. So my way of dealing with it was through writing. So I remember I got locked up for driving a tagged up car. I bought a car that was tagged up, and I got pulled over and arrested. And my homeboy, he came to get me. He came to bomb me out. And while we was in the car going back, he was reciting words that sounded so familiar. I'm like, I realized I left my little book. You know what I'm saying? I used to write my rhymes in because I ain't never used to say them to nobody. I used to just write them, close them, you know what I'm saying? Use my imagination to deal with certain things like most rappers do. But I was really going through certain things that I wish I could have changed. Like, for example, I might have, you know, went and purchased something from, you know, the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and something like was short or whatever. Or might have had, you know, whatever issue. So I could actually write what I really want to do to Poppy. I really want to go up on the hill and do this, and that. And it helped me, like, I feel better. Because I'm not going to go up there and get killed.
Right. But it's your therapy.
You know, but it was therapy. So when he found my book, I was kind of like, yo, where my book at? But instead of discouraging me, he encouraged me. He was like, yo, I didn't even know you was writing this kind of stuff. Like, this is dope. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but with my book. Like, I'm still on, like, with my book. Like, you holding on to a piece of my being right now. I didn't really want to share that, you know. But like I said, my homeboy encouraged me. So I actually started to push a little bit in that direction. But it wasn't as, you know, I wasn't as content.
So how old are you at this age?
At this point, I'm around 16, 17. You know,
back on the East.
In New York, I'm on the East Coast. I didn't make it back to the West Coast till a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? I used to travel back and forth when I got a little bit older, but I always kept in touch with everybody because it was like, man, I was having a ball and I just crashed the whole joint and end up back here, you know? So, you know, my first record deal was with Tommy Boy Records. I signed with Tommy Boy back in like 96. Me and my partner, we had a group called Crime Family, and we wrote an album called Harlem World.
Crime Family?
Yeah. And then we wrote an album called Harlem World.
Crime Family.
Yeah, Crime Family.
He was on some bull.
I was on some nonsense. I was Loon for real. That's the whole thing. Just to fast forward and just give people an understanding of how Loon got exposed to the world. You know what I'm saying? But my humble beginnings was I really was like a go hard type of artist. You know, I was Loon.
Right.
I wasn't Pretty Boy Floyd. I wasn't Rudolph Valentino. You know what I'm saying? I became this box of chocolate and rose dude by way of the direction of Sean Combs when I signed a Bad Boy. You know, and I wasn't never rebellious to it because, you know, when you who you are, I ain't got to audition for y'all. I know who I am.
Right.
But if dude giving me a lane where I could get to the, you know what I'm saying, I could get to that bag, I'm doing that.
So let me ask you, let me break you off. So my partner D, D from y'all land,
Yeah.
you know, that's like family.
Yeah.
Is that how he got the Puff? Because I know eventually y'all whole family,
Yeah.
Puff was welcome.
Yeah.
Is that how that union started? Because I know him and Puff real
Yeah,
tight.
they was real tight. I can't speak to what was the origin of that relationship. It could have been through Von Zip, who was from Harlem. You know, he used to be back and forth. He was tight with Mike Tyson. You know, D was, you know what I'm saying? That
Right.
little circle they had was something of a major, you know what I'm saying, extension to what we was on.
Right.
You know, so, you know, and then, you know, V too. Like, you know, V,
Yeah,
yeah,
V,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So all the older homies, they was all locked in, you know what I'm saying? To like Puff, Mike Tyson, a lot of, you know, high end type dudes, you know what I'm saying? And that's what kind of what the attraction was for me, is to be on the West Coast and see dudes who was like moving like similar to the way, you know, things I was exposed to on the East Coast.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, back then, like, gangbang was at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And it was,
I was gone.
Yeah, you know what I'm
I
saying?
left in 91.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like me being, like I said, being a city kid, it was an experience for me.
Because that was 96. That's when, because like I said, I was gone that whole era.
Yeah.
So I'm gone. I leave in 1991. I don't come back to 2004.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You was spared. You was preserved.
Yeah, I missed the whole beef. And then I do 3 years and 9 months in the shoe. Straight, and then come home in 2004. So I miss a whole, right after Big and Pac, I went to the shoe, and then I come home 4.5 years later. So now when I get home, it's the ending of the beef. Sugar's in jail, and I'm coming home. And now it's like all the remnants in the city is what the city is. And you know, your name and then a couple other people's names is going and coming down, and then they had runs. So that was like
Yeah. That was your bird's eye view from where you
and
was
then
at.
I know me, so I was immediately tight with T Money.
Yeah.
T Money is younger than me.
Yeah.
So T Money, I did a lot of time with a lot of homies from PBG and Mansfield and Marvin. So all the people who had did time with me already knew where I was at, because they knew I was a Muslim teaching Islam in prison and all that. So they already knew. But it was the ones on the streets who didn't know, who didn't get, like, he ain't on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He not really on it. So me and T Money immediately, like, T Money was young.
Yeah.
T Money was revival. I want to see.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know, T Money, that's when he still had hair on the top.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
He go, hey, I shot one. You can't shoot.
Hey, look, I was just with you, so you already know. I'm just spectating right now.
So that era right there, cause when I came home, I was really lost.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about lost, bro. I didn't have no clue. Suge was educating me sometime in the car on who he didn't like. And I tell a story about Jimmy Henchman, right? And how I had so much respect for Jimmy Henchman from the street thing. And I don't know about everybody else with the
Yeah,
situation.
now he wrote me when I was locked up, because he's Muslim now too.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, he Muslim.
And my super story on Jimmy, I'm going to tell it real quick. Jimmy and Suge had the beef. Jimmy coming to meet me to do a shoe deal that Henry Black set up for me to help me get on my feet. My first deal where I ever got any money was through Jimmy. Jimmy Henchman set the deal up to do Game's shoe deal. I made almost $300,000 off of the shoe deal, the Hurricane shoe.
Yeah, I remember that joint.
And we was coming to me, fast story, Jimmy and Suge about to bump heads. Suge got a bunch of cars. And I'm telling Jimmy, man, won't you go ahead and leave?
Yeah.
And because I'm Jimmy, like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I said, ooh. He said, oh, I can't run.
Yeah.
I deal with it. And I'm like, wow, honorable.
Yeah.
And then, we end the story, but nothing happens. But that was where I was like, I got to look at him differently forever, ever.
Yeah.
But back to Loon, man, because,
the thing is, like, most people know me through Bad Boy Records. You know what I'm saying? When I signed with Puff, I was actually an Arista artist. Bad Boy was under Arista. So I was already in the building.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? So this a lot of people understand because, I always kind of defend my business relationship and my personal relationship with Puff because I never had the issues that was, floating around. We had a very strong mutual understanding that we benefit in each other. Even though you the boss, you know what I'm saying? This your whip, you driving. But I'm not a backseat passenger, if that makes any sense.
Well, it makes a great deal of sense to me.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Because I know if you already came to California.
Yeah.
You already had an establishment on the West.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that makes you automatically an asset, a whole nother asset.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. And the whole thing is, people always assume, but we ain't here to be telling those stories.
Right.
I'm gonna let this out because dude gave me an opportunity. I don't care what nobody say. At the end of the day, he gave me an opportunity. We sold a lot of records. We did a lot of big things. Traveled a lot of places.
Who were some of the people you did music with?
Oh man.
Because remember I got a younger audience.
Yeah.
This audience is gonna go back and find out who you were.
Yeah, absolutely. See, one thing I can say about the people that I featured, did songs with, we had a whole different generation opposed to what's going on right now. So it is essential that we bridge those gaps so that the younger generation understand that, just like the generation before us, paved the way for us to have a means. And I like to, boldly say I was a part of a generation that paved the way for this generation. You know what I'm saying? So, I did songs with the likes of, Tony Braxton, Snoop Dogg, Missy Elliott, of course, Puff, Lenny Kravitz, Pharrell. I had a very big career. I wrote a lot of big records. I Need a Girl, Part 1, Part 2. Co-wrote on I Don't Want to Know, Marijuana's biggest song. Like, I wrote a lot of big records. I wrote maybe 80% of, P. Diddy and the Bad Boy family. I wrote a lot of records on the Bad Boy 2 soundtrack. I was basically the go-to writer and artist at the time. And I think that Bad Boy had that every generation.
Right.
Big was the go-to writer and artist on Bad Boy. And then when he passed away, Mase became the go-to writer and artist on Bad Boy. Then Mase left and Loon becomes the go-to writer and artist on Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when people try to compare these different, occurrences, it's like, no, we all in our own respective times and space were people who were tasked with carrying the Bad Boy torch.
Yes.
So, by Puff's guidance, I did a lot of radio-friendly records, predominantly female audience, but still my name is Loon. So now I gotta run around and audition for dudes that don't know better, thinking I'm the wedding singer or I'm like this hopeless romantic that need a girl every song, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, being from where I was from, having the allegiances that I had on both coasts, so on and so forth, I never had to, you know what I'm saying? I ain't never had to audition for the dudes that mattered.
Right.
It was always the spectators, the people who watching these videos and think they know you and think they could just run down on you and ask you crazy questions like, yo, where your man Puffy? And I'll be like, hey, look, man, you gonna end up being something to do. Like for real, like find something to do or you gonna end up being something to do. You know, and it's like, that was Loon. Like, you know, I'm still trying to evolve. I'm putting the best characteristic that I have and possessed at the time was I respect women. I was raised by my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? My mother was official tissue in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? She was like my sister. Because me and my moms, we did a lot of dirt in the street together. My grandmother was like my mother.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I got sisters. I got daughters. So I always had respect for women. So when Puff showed me an opportunity of how to hone in on that and make sense of it, I embraced it, ran with it.
So Puff was a great teacher, man.
He really is. I mean, I think people do give him credit what credit is due, but I think a lot of times because of whatever reasons, people don't give him credit what credit is due. I'm a type of person that, especially now, the point I am in my life, I'm extremely grateful for everything and I accept everything that happened because it had a purpose, it had a reason for me to be who I am today. But for the younger generation, I'm just... Because I actually, when I was in prison, I had access to certain things that allowed me to watch everything that everybody else was watching. So I used to let the young kids in my block hold my little joint to use on the screen, and they was watching World Star a lot. So I never used to listen because, you know, you got to have your headphones on your TV. So I used to just sit there and watch. So I used to be like, man, what's up with all these kids with no shirt on, with all these assault rifles, with a Wraith in front of a trap house? Like, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to hear the song to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So like my message to them would be, we was trying to show y'all, quote unquote, like what's being said nowadays, black excellence. We doing videos with waterfalls. We showing y'all 125 feet yachts. We showing you can take your passport and go to countries where girls don't even speak your language. It was like, at the time, we were the higher echelon of those who expose to the world, not just our culture, not just our generation, but the whole world was watching us and wanted to achieve this level of greatness.
Right.
So when I started seeing this repetitive rehearsal to end up in the very place that I was in, it's scary to me. I'm like, man, these kids is trying to go to prison.
Right.
Don't you know they got technology that'll hone in and get the serial numbers off one of them guns, and you know,
and they don't know.
Yeah, and they don't know.
They really don't know.
And I mean, they just having a good old time looking at it like, yo, he going to jail. He gonna tell, you know. And I'm like, and when they all come crying down, all of them gonna get 20. The one that got the first indictment gonna flip on everybody. He gonna be out in 1 year. He gonna get a year in a day.
And we see that really happening.
It's really
he was talking about it. It's heartening to see one of our greatest stars, NBA Youngboy, a multi-millionaire, and he's creating jobs for people. He got artists. He doing such a great job with his fan base and what he doing for people to be fighting these cases.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm hoping that this little sit down is going to help him to see what he can do and for him to find a way out of it and not have to go sit down. But this is a prime example of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I don't even do, my artists do videos. I mean, I try not to be too, but I'm like, I make a suggestion like, is that the message you want to send? Like, we already hood.
Exactly. Yeah.
We already, they know who we are. Yeah. Like, you ain't got to go, and I try to keep it there just as, you know, put a thought in it. I don't step in nobody's creativity, but that's what's going on with our babies right now.
Yeah, because see, me being out of the loop, like I said, I don't listen to no music. I come home, I hear it's about 15, 20 dudes, names start with Lil. So, you know, not even trying to be funny. Respectfully, like, I don't really know this generation.
Right.
You know, when I came home, I think I met a guy young brother by the name of Moneybag Yo. I was at Exclusive Game in Atlanta. And like some of the young guys, they say, "Oh, what up, OG?" And it's like, you know, I be, because, you know, I've been programmed to look at this generation of youth, not with fear, but with concern.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never fear, it's just concern. Like, I don't know what your motivation is. Like, what are y'all aims? What are y'all goals? What are y'all trying to achieve?
You to speak on Moneybag Yo, you gonna love him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was a good. I mean, when I met him,
when you get a chance,
great energy.
Great
you know what I'm
energy.
saying? Very respectful.
Sharp.
He was smooth. You know, I mean, and there's another kid I want to say.
Sharp.
I watched the interview with the kid named is it Young Yachty, Lil Yachty?
Lil Yachty.
And he was being literally attacked by Joe Buttons in the interview, and his poise and how he handled it. It was like he was the only man in the studio at the time. He's the baby.
Right.
You know, so I know it's hope. Even like I said, you know what I'm saying? I believe there's hope when you have young men like this who understand or have values or certain morals that they don't
come
allow.
up under good teaching, though.
See, I mean,
you got, because QC, P&M.
Yeah, I know Coach. You know what I'm saying?
They real good teachers. He come up under that. Okay. So he got a good yoke. It's the ones that kind of build themselves up from the ground up, and then they really their own big homies. Yeah. Because they got the millions their own way. Yeah. And so it's on point. We're going to step and take a break right here and come back. Somebody coming home from prison, you have a different glow. You have a glow that looks like purpose.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, a lot of times people don't understand, like, being incarcerated. You know, they got this statement, you know, you could do the time or let the time do you. So I guess maximizing that time to just grow and evolve and make preparations for the return back to society definitely, you know, has created a purpose.
Right.
You know.
That's key in what you said. You said something that being somebody who was formerly incarcerated and coming home to be a better person, you said preparation.
Yeah.
And what was that like? And then, because I don't think the viewers who've never been incarcerated can understand how some people never prepare for freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got this thing I mentioned maybe before about doing a long 2 days. Like, you know, whatever a person do to get incarcerated, and then they come out on the same thing. Right. It's like you did a long 2 days. You know, like the 10, 15, 20 in the middle don't even count because you ain't making any preparations. You was only rehearsing to return the same way you entered. And that's something that's, you know, more consistent and more common, you know what I'm saying, for people who are incarcerated and re-enter society. Then you got some individuals who, you know, really had an impact, a negative impact on society, and they want to rectify those things. So they take that time to try to rectify those matters to the best of their ability and try to, you know, reestablish, you know, themselves and, like the word we use, and prepare to re-enter society and be an asset and not a liability.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of a rarity.
Yeah, it's definitely a rarity.
Yeah.
I want to jump right into it. I want to jump into who is Amir as opposed to who was Loon. And I think what people don't realize is, what we learn is that it's so much value in the name and how you represent yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think if you can let people understand who is Amir and what Amir's value to what Loon represented, they can kind of understand when you say, call me Amir.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I am your Amir.
Yeah.
And I'm not your Loon. I'm your Amir.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't get to understand what the Amir name, how valuable that name could be to people.
Absolutely. Because linguistically in the Arabic language, Amir could even mean leader or prince.
Right.
So either way you look at it is the position of, you know, leadership. And I've always had those qualities. And for a lot of people that did know me when I was Loon, I never was a follower.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'll follow suit. I'll stick to, you know, the regiment, the code, or whatever it is, but I'm not following nobody. So the brother that actually gave me my name was a Muslim brother named Mujahid. He used to do security for Puff. And when he found out I took Shahada, he was like, yo, don't let nobody give you a name. So I'm like, all right, cool. So when he came up with Amir and he explained to me what it meant,
The power.
you know what I'm saying, it just resonated right away. So Amir, in a nutshell, is a man who's evolved. And I believe that if we don't evolve, we really standing still. And a lot of us, you know, as African Americans, we remain stagnated, or we level out at some point and never really grow or evolve. So for myself, I think that everything I've ever experienced was always a stepping stone to grow and try to evolve into a better person. And, you know, I have no gripings with Loon and all of the, you know, benefits of success that came with being Loon, because it was a stepping stone to becoming Amir. And, you know, you have to get to a point where, you know, we start running from nuances. Because a lot of people are fearful of change.
Right.
You know, a lot of people are afraid to go outside the box, or, you know, venture outside their element, so on and so forth. But me, I've always, you know, been somebody who's always been, you know, privy to like challenges, you know. So Amir just became someone who's not too far away from Loon. You know, I'm still humorous.
Right.
I could still, you know, had a conversation with the best of the best of them, but just certain, you know, guidelines and certain things that I'm just not going, you know.
You're indulging.
Exactly. So that's called growth, you know, and a person could do that without being Amir.
Right.
But for me, you know, it's definitely a little bit more in conformity with my own growth, my own evolution, and definitely the basis of it is Islam.
We were talking earlier, and we was talking about how you became a Muslim. And I was telling you, I also went back to studying Islam when I was on the streets before I was incarcerated.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I did not know even up until this moment that you got back on your deen before you was incarcerated.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I think a lot of people, because of whatever the media, you know what I'm saying, of course you already know, puts out there, that's pretty much all you got to work with. But I became Muslim in 2008, in December 2008, while I was traveling in UAE. I accepted Islam in Abu Dhabi. Then immediately I came back to the States and just immersed myself.
How old were you? I just want to ask that one. How old were you?
I was 33.
You was 30, okay.
I was 33 years old when I became Muslim. And, you know, immediately the zeal that you have, and I think a lot of new shahadas have that zeal. And in some cases, if it's not nurtured and cultivated properly, it could fizzle away.
Right.
You find a lot of, you know, new Muslims, you know, they know Islam is the truth. They try to practice Islam to the best of their ability. But if they don't surround themselves by people who can benefit them and can nurture and cultivate them so that they grow, you know, and obtain beneficial knowledge and have a strong understanding of the foundation, you know, and basic fundamental principles of Islam, then they can very much, you know, lose their Islam. Right. So for me, being in a position of influence, I never wanted anybody to exploit me or try to, you know, utilize my deficiency in the religion, you know, being new to it. And, you know, I become a target for, you know, any type of, just a target to try to, like, you know, show any type of misinterpretation or misconception of what Islam is. So I immediately started sitting in, you know, the masjid, starting with Masjid Iqwa in Brooklyn. I was always sitting with a brother named Abu Yusuf Khalifa. He had studied in Egypt. You know, he translated books for a lot of ulama and stuff like that. So scholars rather, and I just sat under his wing.
Right.
You know, he's younger than me, and that's another thing. I don't have no pride issues. You know what I'm saying? So you
But
got
Islam is ageless.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand that. You know, so basically, I sat under this brother, and he gave me a very good and strong foundation. Then from that point, I just continued to build and expound on that, and eventually it led me to moving to Egypt, where I studied at, you know, a couple Maracas or language schools. I went to Maracas Al Fajr, and then I went to Maracas Al Iban, and I started studying Arabic, and then I went to Al Azhar University. You know what I'm saying, which is the oldest Islamic, you know what I'm saying, institution in the world. So, you know, I just took the initiative to really immerse myself in Islam, in the religion, because, you know, any and everything I've ever done in my life, I've always been 10 toes with it. I've always been, you know, 100, you know, to the floor with it. And it's like, I never was a straddler. You know, I never was, you know, hypocritical in anything I did. So when I came to the conclusion that Islam was the truth, in December 2008 was the last time I smoked, drank, like listened to the radio, you know, by my own will,
Right.
you know, and just abstain from pretty much every major sin that I was committing. And everything that I sacrificed, Allah had replaced it with something better.
That's what the Quran says.
Yeah, exactly.
If you give up one bad thing, He will replace it.
I will replace it with
Something
something
to help
better.
you. Yes, sir.
You know, so these are things that definitely helped me evolve from being Loon, the artist, kid from Harlem, who moved to LA in '89, started running with, you know what I'm saying, my homeboys on Pico. And
Right.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I've had a very you know, extensive youth, you know, and a lot of experiences that definitely, you know, shaped me.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I'm just happy that I survived it.
Going back, what you was talking about, Pico and the homies, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But I like to say that, like the Quran says, that Allah puts in a man that oomph, you know, that fire, to give that man the ability to go reach other people.
Absolutely.
And when I was studying in prison, we was talking earlier, and I started studying Islam on the streets, like you. And I eventually went to prison. And so I was so disciplined mentally coming into prison, and I felt like I wanted to be a teacher, because once I got to prison, and like yourself, I know you experienced it when I found out how low our educational level was as a people in all areas, not just Islam, not just religion, not just that when I found how low we were and where we were on the totem pole as far as educated, and I could see then why we as a people were in the condition, or still in the condition we're in. So I had to choose at that point what the example was, because my name, the Big U name, was so ominous, and so it got to places before I got there.
Yeah.
And when I got there, it was arms up, weapons up, Big U's here.
Yeah.
And when I hit the yard, I'm going to the masjid first, where the Masala at. You know what I mean? So I think it's important for people to understand how you had to navigate that, why you, like when you first got there. Because see, no matter what, you Loon.
Yeah.
And then you the popular Loon.
Yeah.
Then you the Loon with some money.
Yeah.
Then you the Loon in prison.
No question.
Then you the Loon who got the enemies of Pico, the enemies of the East Coast, West Coast beef.
Yeah.
You still Loon.
Yeah.
Until you have to show a brother, look, I might go back to that, but I ain't want. Speak on that. How was that?
You know, it's funny. I was just talking about that earlier, about, like, you know, the first time I had an encounter like, dudes asked me to come play basketball because, I'm from Harlem. We ain't got no grass. You know what I'm saying? We play basketball.
Right.
We ain't got no football program. A lot of the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, they play stickball, baseball. We play basketball. So, long story short, I put the jersey on. I played with a team. And dude was, like, doing the commentator, like, Tango and Cash at Rucker. Or my man EJ, like, commentating the game. So I went to go up for a shot. Well, I got the ball, and I was dribbling down the court. And dude was like, okay, we got Loon with it. Immediately, I just dropped the ball. Walked straight over to the table. So, the whole rec yard got quiet. It's like, what he about to do? And I just leaned over, put my hand over the mic. I was like, listen, my man, call me Amir. I ain't never introduced myself to you as Loon. You ain't never met Loon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you want to have fun with it, you can say Air Moses. I'm cool with all that, but we ain't going to do the Loon thing. So from that day, it was established on the yard, Plus, I'm with the Muslims. I'm in the Muslim community. I end up assuming the position as the imam. So I'm being entrusted with the religious affairs of the Muslims on the yard. So it's like I have a responsibility. I have a certain type of characteristic that comes with that responsibility. And we're not going to entertain, saying no goofy games. And like you start handling me like you cool with Loon. So we got to stop that right away. And then, in the federal prison system, news carry. Dudes got phones. Dudes got ways of getting it around. So like every other yard I ever went to, it was already kind of clear. And then a lot of the brothers around me, because, they trying to safeguard and protect my honor. Because they met Amir. Right. They love Amir. They love Amir the Muslim. I didn't meet no Loon. I don't even some of the brothers been down 20 years. They weren't even out when I was, doing the music. So they like, man, I know you as Amir. So when they seen some, dudes sometime, hey, yo, Loon. I said, our brother beat me to it. Hey, yo, his name is Amir. We're Loon at. I used to be like, yo, all right, chill. Nah, I'm saying, like, what I'm saying? So it was always.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, everything else was pretty much just about, what it is. It's like, we ain't in prison to be, playing with the prison culture. Right. We here to be better men. We here to grow. We leave all that for the kids. Like, we leave all that for the dudes that, haven't yet found their way. So every now and then you find yourself having to put certain contingencies in place so it don't become a problem.
Right.
And that's basically it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a smooth bid. I ain't gonna even hold you. Like, I had a smooth bid.
You walked off how much?
I did 9 years.
You did 9?
I did 9.
What was your sentence?
14.
You sentenced?
Yeah, I got sentenced to 14 because, like, basically, I was in a conspiracy that consists of ghost dope and hearsay. So anybody that's familiar with the federal prison system is like, it's the easiest trap on the planet. Like, you could just get a couple dudes to congregate and just, come up with some type of conspiracy. Toss you in it. You're going to get indicted. You're not going to get a letter in the mail saying you got a grand jury hearing. The Fed's going to indict you. And then they're going to hire the marshals to come get you as if you trying to flee, from the law. In all actuality, you didn't even know there was a grand jury hearing that took place and you've been indicted for whatever the case may be. So with that being said, me having 2 priors.
So let me set the stage, because we're talking about your eventual incarceration.
Absolutely.
At 8 years. So now you're already studying to become Amir.
Yeah.
So for the people that don't know, Loon is already out the picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now you're traveling. You in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And you already in the masjid.
Yeah.
You don't go to prison
until 2011.
2011.
So definitely, to rewind back a little bit. Like I said, I was chasing everything of benefit, everything that was going to contribute to me obtaining beneficial knowledge and understanding of Islam, and frequently traveling in the Muslim lands. So I made Umrah which is a minor pilgrimage. I made Hajj, which is a major pilgrimage.
Yes, sir.
My first Ramadan was in Kuwait. I've been to Jordan. I've been to Malaysia. I lived in Egypt. I've been to Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. I've been like a lot of different Muslim countries. So with that being said, I had pretty much put my previous life, I put Loon in the rear view. You know what I'm saying? Like when I left the music business, wasn't no huge announcement. I just dipped. So you know how it is, out of sight, out of mind. Nobody's really checking. You know, they ain't here.
But somebody was checking.
Yeah. Somebody was checking.
Somebody was checking, and they had letters on the back of their jacket.
Yes, on Allah.
Because I mean, when I sit here and I do a lot of reading and asking questions about the people we about to interview, because I know your story a little bit, but I never knew like we getting it now. But the timeline, the changes made, right, and then the people need to hear that the conspiracy of years ago comes.
Yeah.
And it's not that he caught a case stabbing somebody for Puff, shooting somebody for Puff, doing these other things. You actually went to prison after exercising conscious decisions to start studying Islam abroad.
Absolutely.
So you're not even in this country. You actually moved out the country. I mean, I think you need to.
Yeah.
I kind of want to set the stage so that people can kind of see that when you went to prison, you was already.
I was already Muslim
and had been out the country. And living in a whole nother country.
Living a whole nother country, living a whole nother life. And I think I appreciate that too, because it does need to be understood, because I think that once I went to prison, people had all these different, misconceptions of what was happening, in my life. But I literally left behind everything that, I had previously indulged in and moved forward full steam to try to better myself, by removing myself first and foremost from the environment in which all of the harm was done, So in 2008, I became Muslim. 2009, I made Umrah, and I continuously traveled because I was giving talks all around the world. Different, prestigious universities, stuff like that. Places, I mean, I'm an 8th grade dropout. You know what I'm saying? I spoke in more colleges and, educational institutions than I invested in, myself, and was able to reach a lot of people with my story. So with that being said, I never foreseen or even detected that something that took place prior to me becoming Muslim. You know what I'm saying? I was put in an indictment for, somewhere, this is how the indictment read, somewhere around about 2006 to September 2008. I became Muslim in December 2008. So literally whatever took place prior to that, I was oblivious to, because I had already made the moves, already, made decisions, uprooted my family, and we all moved to Egypt. So with that being said, it took me to land in Belgium, where I was scheduled to give a prestigious, a lecture at a prestigious university, and I got grabbed by Interpol. And I was told that I had an indictment in the Eastern District of North Carolina in the city of Durham, which I had never visited. So you can imagine, like you investing all this time to remove yourself from a lifestyle that preceded, to evolve into a better state of living and, carrying yourself in a whole different manner, to just run into a situation where all of that gets
caught up.
Yeah. So, as impactful as it was, I believe because of the state I was in, it was easy for me to accept it. Because we know about, one of the 6 tenets of Islam is to believe in Allah's divine decree, the good of it and the bad of it.
Yes, sir.
Understand? So with that being said, we don't invest a lot of time in what could have happened, should have happened, if I'd have went down Crenshaw, this wouldn't have happened, or if I'd have turned down 7th Avenue instead of going down 8th Avenue. We don't do that. When the law decrees a thing, is wisdom behind these things that may present themselves right then and there, or may unfold later on. But the first step of reaching that is to just accept it.
Right.
Yeah.
And to grow from there.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's important for the people to understand who Amir is.
Yes.
And because what I was reading, and a lot of stuff I was reading, is Amir left hip hop. Amir don't like hip hop. Amir hate hip hop. And I think what people don't understand is that you have so much more.
Yeah.
And hip hop is a small part.
Absolutely.
Of what you will eventually use to reach and to teach.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
Because like myself, I feel like I had to come home, get acclimated, and I had to lose a lot of Islam coming home, and then get it back. And then I had to sit back and say, like, I'm so still there because I'm so grounded, and there's so many things I don't do that I just never did. Yeah. But people ask me about the name Big U, and I said, well, I keep the name Big U opposite of why Loon keep it, because I want kids to understand that it's not the name, it's the choice that I made. My given name is Hannibal Muhammad. Yeah. And it's the name. It's not the name, it's the choices I make.
Absolutely.
And I still got to make choices every single day.
But you know what's beautiful? I learned to embrace, see, like at first, because I wanted to separate myself, I might have been real firm about, any reminder of that.
Right.
And Loon is being one of those reminders. But after serving that 9-year sentence and coming home, I learned to embrace that, Loon is a gateway.
Right.
For people to understand better who Amir is. Because you can't force or impose Amir on someone who's looking at you dead in your face and is like, you look like Loon. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, dudes running down on me now like, yo, man, you look familiar. And I'll be like, yeah, I get that a lot. They're like, nah, you Loon? And it's like, yeah.
It's a teachable moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a teachable moment.
Because, the thing is, we can listen to a lot of people. A lot of people talk about how they entered the fold of Islam. And you'll never really see no similarities. You'll see a commonality.
Right.
But you won't see a lot of similarity. There's so many different variations of how people enter into the fold of this deen. So with that being said, I learned to allow Loon to be a gateway, or the prerequisite to, like you said, a teaching moment, a learning experience, a eye opener, reminder, whatever, But it does definitely give a person the opportunity to engage me from a place that's familiar, and then now they can learn about what's more present and what may be more foreign to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I had to learn to embrace that. So I understand when you say, I got to hold on to it.
I seen you on YouTube. I seen you on this. I seen you on this. And I had one kid came up to me and he ran by me and he said, you're the leader of the Crips. And I chased him down with one bad leg and I said, come here, man. And I took him and I was talking to him and I said, it's going to be good things and bad things.
Yeah.
Said, right? And then his mother was coming up because she seen me talking to him. And I paused her for a second. I said, but I'm not the leader of the Crips. Yeah. I am a leader of good black men.
Absolutely.
And black boys. If I ever teach you anything, it will be something positive. And the mother's face went from ready to come pounce to glowing.
Yeah.
And I said, I got a football program that you may play with one day. I got more boys in college than I have in prison. I have more boys graduating from high school than I have in YA. And I said, and one day you're going to be one of mine. I got a karate school I'm going to let you come to for free so you can see what kind of leader I am. And he started bouncing around. but it was my teachable moment.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then like, so you 18 months to the house. It's a whole new world of information.
Yeah.
With Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all the rest of the stuff. And I think Amir is going to find the outlet in a way to reach more people.
Absolutely.
In your mind right now, being so young, so new to home, what do you think your next steps are? Like into using your platform that you have, what do you got in mind to do?
You know, first and foremost, you know, Allah is most kind. You know, I've been home 15 months and I've been able to literally establish 15 businesses.
That is beautiful.
You know, I came home, I got a book deal with Simon & Schuster. I have a shopping agreement with Realistic Ideas, which is Mark Wahlberg, Archie Gibbs, and Steve Levinston, you know, to do a 6-part doc series on my life. I partnered with my business partner, Salma Khan, and we're building a mobile application called Paid Meals, which is going to impact hunger in a major way.
Yeah, because you just got through feeding.
Got through feeding 1,000 people, alhamdulillah, in Skid Row just yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Because it's like we've been manually implementing the paid meal system until we finish completion of the 2.0 mobile application. So basically what paid meals is a mobile app that enables contributors to purchase meals for people in need through registered paid meals vendors. So for example, you know, you can walk all through Skid Row, see thousands of people in need. But if you want to just, you know, assert yourself and help one, you can purchase a meal for them. If they have a phone, you know what I'm saying, and they register on paid meals as a receiver, and you're a contributor, you purchase a meal for them, and they can go to any registered paid meals vendor, restaurant, walk right in there and be seated and fed like any dignified person. So when you look at this, you know, we made charity seamless and easy, at the same time preserving dignity and honor.
And the people receiving it.
And the people receiving it.
Key, that is beautiful, right?
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that, I ain't never heard an app like that.
Exactly. Because, I mean, you have to be able to see a lot of people, like, matter of fact, recently, you know, Elon Musk just challenged the United Nations to present some empirical evidence that you can stop a hunger crisis. Based upon the research that we've done, we know that the UN is not going to be able to produce that.
It's not in their best interest, though.
Not in their best interest, but also they'll be able to amass the food that's necessary to feed a lot of people, but they haven't got past, you know, the part that deals with, you know, food waste or food poisoning. They haven't established the logistics that come with that. Because allocating the food, right, is not going to be done in ample time to where you're, you know, reducing the large percentage of food that's going to be wasted through that process. Again. Exactly. So with paid meals, we only utilizing what's already in place. Because you can't convince a man like Elon Musk or anybody that you're going to bring something outside of the situation that's going to remedy the problem. When you cure cancer, where you cure it from? Within.
Yeah.
So now you're going to always have people who can contribute, have a little bit more than they need, and they contribute. You're always going to have receivers, people that's in need. Then you're going to always have grocery stores, restaurants, food trucks, food carts, and certified private chefs who have the ability to provide those meals.
Right.
So when you create that type of ecosystem within these three entities, it becomes a self-sufficient ecosystem that will remedy itself.
So I could just do Zakat. Just basically sign up on the app, pay for 5 meals, and every day.
Absolutely.
I could just say I got $100, $50, or whatever I want to do in that month, and I don't necessarily have to have it identified by a person. I can just go on the app, do my Zakat.
Yeah.
Because
you'll receive notifications from people who are seeking to redeem meals.
Right.
So you could be in California and pay for a meal in person in New York. You don't even have to know this
Beautiful.
person. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and just a teachable moment, you know, what zakat is an obligatory charity in Islam, right? That you only pay once a year.
Right.
And it's 2.5% of your surplus income.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, if we all did that, it would balance out the economy.
Exactly.
So even a greedy billionaire would get the tax break that he's looking for, 2.5%. You got to be a real greedy person to not want to give 2.5% of your surplus income. So that means after all your expenditures, whatever remains, you just give 2.5% of that. So if everybody who had the means did that, it would balance out the economy because you'll be able to, you know, allocate that funding to those that need, which would be a percentage or a margin that would either be greater, not by distance, but, you know, sufficient enough that those contributions will reach the mass majority of those people that need. So with paid meals, we literally are implementing one area of Islam, which is charity, is an act of worship. It's something that's pleasing to your Lord. And at the same time, preserving and protecting the honor and dignity of an individual, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has rights. Every created thing has rights, even the animals. You know what I'm saying? You know, like when we, you know, slaughter animals, it's not even permissible for us to slaughter an animal in front of another animal.
Exactly.
You know,
allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So when people learn these things, all those misconceptions, and that's where a lot of people become Muslim because of their curiosity. And when they start to delve into the matter, they start realizing like, oh nah, these people can't possibly be the people that they're saying.
They are right.
Yeah. So yeah, alhamdulillah. Yep.
So Amir, 11 businesses in 18 months. 15 businesses
15
in 18 months.
Yep. We got paid meals. We got paid water. You know, I don't even want to expose too much. I have a clothing line. I had an accessory line I released called, you know, Loon to Amir, which is basically me branding my social media, which on Instagram is Loon to Amir. So I took.
So it's at Loon to Amir.
Yeah, at Real Loon to Amir on Instagram is REALLOON, the number 2, Amir, AMIR. So I took that and made an accessory line that consists of book bags, duffel bags, you know, just accessories. And it was just to kind of like expound on the brand that I created on social media. Because Loon to Amir is basically in one nutshell giving you my transition from Loon to Amir. So now my daily activity on Instagram consists of me either doing lectures, I run a boot camp collaboration with a brother named Shuaib from Rip Right, and we go out and, you know, we get the youth or, you know, just brothers or men in particular to go out and have these strenuous, you know, exercise boot camps.
Yeah, one brother, my nephew hit me up today, try to set me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't been working out. Yeah, it was a setup for the weather. You know, because I already know. And then my other nephew told me, Amir's out here and he got the boot camp for Muslims, working Muslims out. Yeah. So they looking at me like, okay,
That's your calling.
I got it 2 times.
Yeah.
And the nephew walked right up to the table before we sit down and start talking. Yeah, you looking kind of big.
Yeah, shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy?
But I want for to take that though.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
I'm just letting you know.
You gotta suit up.
I let that go right over.
Oh nah.
I let it go right over.
That ain't how we handle that. We gotta suit up.
He gonna set me up. I'm looking. I'm like, that was nice.
Because on the yard we call that a call out.
That was a call. He called me out. I said, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm coming off the foot surgery.
Oh yeah.
But I'm ready though. I keep. You know what I mean?
We had a lot of upper body workouts, so it'll bypass the foot.
I still get it in. I mean, you know, I ain't fell off. I get it in. But I get it with left.
Similar to what you do with the sports, that's the boot camp for me because I work out anyway.
Right.
But I feel like what happens is, you know, I may charge like, you know, $50 for guys to come out and work out with me. Now you got celebrity trainers and stuff like that charge $200 an hour or a session or whatever the case may be. So the 50 is light because it comes with purpose. So it's not just Muslims, it's non-Muslims as well. And one thing you know as men who face adversity numerous times in our life, when you go through stuff together, it establishes a bond.
Yes, sir.
So even if it's just a strenuous workout, it does become something that becomes documented that I went through something with brother Amir and these other brothers that came out. None of us knew each other. Now we all exchanging numbers. We drinking water. We tired. We talking about how strenuous the workout was. Yo, that felt good. Yo, my chest feel crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So all of that is the purpose. I'm not trying to train nobody. I utilize these platforms because it's just an extension of myself. I'm not selling nothing. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I see what social media has turned to.
Right.
You know, and, you know, may Allah protect us. Is like, it could be something of benefit if it's used that way. But it definitely could be something of abundance of misguidance.
Yes, sir.
You know, so I try to stray away from anything that even resembles misguidance. You know, so I make sure everything that I do is contingent upon, you know, bonding with men.
Right.
We gotta do more of that.
We do.
You know what I'm saying? Just like what you're doing, man. Allah reward you. Is like, we need more leaders.
Yeah.
You know, we got a ton of followers out here. You know what I'm saying? And they following 3 different eras.
This brother Hannibal Muhammad, aka Big U, and you're on World Star checking in with Amir, aka Loon to Amir.
Yeah, man. See, what y'all don't understand is you got to check in, man. Everywhere I go, I check in, man. No, I don't get checked, I check in. It's a big difference, man. You gotta really understand what I'm saying.